Welcome to my species spotlight. Today's species spotlight is going to be about the Kakariki. The Kakariki is also known as a New Zealand parakeet. The name Kakariki means small parrot in the Maori language. Kakarikis originate from New Zealand. They can be found in open areas, in grasslands, in forests, and in the scrublands. Some of the species that are found in the wild are the red-fronted Kakariki, the yellow-fronted Kakariki, and the orange-fronted Kakariki. They are endangered in the wild, and especially the orange-fronted Kakariki. It was thought that maybe it was a color mutation of the yellow-fronted or a hybrid between the red-fronted and the yellow-fronted, but studies confirmed that it was an actual species, but they are very, very rare and almost extinct in the wild. In captivity, the orange-fronted is thought of as a hybrid, as there hardly are any orange-fronted in captivity, and some people might breed the red-fronted and yellow-fronted together, and it might look like an orange-fronted, but it's more of a reddy orange. So if you're getting a Kakariki, just make sure it's a full red-fronted or yellow-fronted, not a hybrid, as hybrids can be a weaker strain. They can have heart disease. They might be infertile, so it's best just to keep the red-fronted and the yellow-fronted separated. In the wild, they can be found either solitary or in pairs, and they eat insects, fruits, flowers, some vegetation, and some seeds. Their natural habitat is on the cooler side, so they can be kept in about 17 to 20 degrees Celsius, and you can keep them warm, but not too warm, as they are known to overheat. And they overheat because they have a very dense feathers, like a lot of feathers there. You can barely look through them. All the feathers, keep them warm, but it's best not to keep them too hot, or they can suffer from the heat. In the wild, they nest in holes in trees or crevices in cliffs or even in rocks. They can lay between 5 to 9 eggs, sometimes more, and both parents will feed the babies. The babies will incubate for about 19 to 21 days, usually around 20 days. Kakarikis are dimorphic, meaning you can tell them apart easily. If you have a few of them, if you have one, it might be hard for you to tell, but normally the males are larger, they have a larger head, they have a wider beak, and sometimes their red will be brighter. The females are more smaller, more dainty looking with a smaller head and a smaller beak. Kakarikis are around 11 inches from the tail to the top of their head, and they can average between 50 and 65 grams, the males being heavier than the females, and their average lifespan is around 15 to 20 years. They are considered one of the cuter parrots, as they got like a small head and it just sits on top of their big round body. They are so cute. And they come in many color mutations. This is my Kakariki. This is Summer. She's 7 months old, and she is a Lutino Kakariki. Right, girl? You're sweet. And you can see she has a little dainty face. Let's see if I can go closer without her flying away. She has a dainty beak and a small head. And look at her cute little round little body. So they do come in other colors. They come in like blue. It's really nice. Cream. Pied, the natural color is green, and there's olive, there's like pied cream, pied blue, and turquoise, cinnamon, all kinds of colors, and they're all so beautiful. The normal green color, the wild colored ones have blue flight feathers, which is quite stunning. The red-fronted Kakariki has a red cap, and it has red stripes behind the eyes, and it has 2 red dots, which you can't see right now, on the rump on each side. The yellow-fronted lacks those red stripes behind the eyes. They have really long legs, and they have long toes, I find, and long nails that need to be clipped quite often. I believe it's because they like to dig in their bowls or on the ground, like a chicken does, so they need those nails. But in captivity, they don't wear them down as much as they would in the wild, so they need a lot of nail trimming. I've already cut her nails twice and she's only 7 months old. So Kakariki has pets. Well, I'll tell you my experience. Kakarikis, they are not dusty birds. They're not dusty like cockatiels or cockatoos or African greys. Actually, I don't even smell them. Like, I don't want to go too close. She might fly away. Let me smell you. You smell like a buttercup because you're the color of one. No, she doesn't smell like a buttercup. I don't really smell anything from them. I don't smell any odor, but they're not dusty. So if you have allergies to those other dusty birds, Kakariki might be for you. Now, they are not cuddly birds. They're very, very hyperactive. They're very active. You might see her sitting on my finger, but she's jumped off my finger like 100 times. I have to do all these jump cuts because she takes off. They don't like to sit still very long. They might enjoy to sit on your finger or your shoulder, but off they go. They're very curious. They hop and they jump and they fly. I recommend that you do not clip their wings, as these are considered flighty birds, like flight birds. No biting my finger, honey. There she goes. They like to fly. They do like acrobats in the air, and they're very skilled and intelligent flyers. You just see her. She just whips around like boom, boom, this way, that way, turn corners. Like they don't hit walls and be clumsy like some birds can. And they're really, really quick. So you have to be careful, with doors or windows being open, as out they will go. But you can train them and tame them and teach them tricks too. They're very nice and they're very friendly. They like human interaction in the cage, which is funny. When they're in the cage, they actually crawl on the side of the cage, like inside, and crawl on the roof of the cage, and they walk upside, like hanging, and they just go back and forth and they crawl around. They look like some kind of like alien or something, just crawling around on top. It's just kind of comical. And they love to explore and they like to touch everything with their feet. So they're very accident prone, as they can get into everything. So you really have to birdie proof the area that you're keeping your Kakariki in. And as for noise, I don't think they're noisy at all. Compared to all my other birds, she's very, very quiet. They don't scream. They don't continuously make noise like a budgie would or a cockatiel would. Yeah, they're very quiet. To me, they sound like a lamb. They make this little like bah, bah noises, or just a little chattering little sounds. It's really cute. I'll try to get some and insert it here so you can hear what they sound like. And they also can learn to talk and mimic. She doesn't really say anything, but I had another one. I had another Kakariki named Sizzle. So I'm going to insert that footage right here and you can hear him talk. So that was Sizzle, my other Kakariki. He sure did have a huge vocabulary, but he lived a short life. He just had a heart disease. He passed away at an early age, which they are prone to. They're prone to heart disease, especially the hybrids. He could have been a hybrid or just badly bred, or it just happens. They have a bad heart. My vet has told me that they sometimes have a short life. They don't live very long. They can live till maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, or 8 years old, but the average lifespan is 15 to 20, so hopefully she'll live a long time. And also they are prone to aspergillosis. I hope I said that right. It's a respiratory infection that they can get, so you have to watch out for that. And they can die from stressful situations, especially if they're not hand-fed or hand-tamed babies. Even just to capture them to clip their nails, or just the capturing part, given medication or just any kind of stressful event, they can just suddenly die just like that. So you have to be wary of that and, use caution and just stop what you're doing and let them go. They can actually get into this state where they're like in shock, like a shock-like state, where they're just staring and they're frozen on the spot, and they can have spasms, and their legs start shaking, or sort of like seizures, but they come out of it after about 30 minutes or so. So just to be wary about that. Other than that, I think they can probably get any disease that any bird can get, but just want to mention those few of them. And they can be very messy eaters. And they are like chickens. I call her my little chicken bird. When they're eating, they jump into their food and they use their feet. They scratch like chickens. So they'll jump in their food and they'll scratch, and they want to look for what they like the best, and they kick all their food out of the bowl. So they'll be very messy eaters. What I do is I feed her on the floor of her cage. I put her chop there, and she just kicks it all out and then eats it. And so once, while she's out of the cage, she'll be eating, when the food is on top of my cages, she just goes up there and scratches it all out, but all the other birds eat it. So they are messy eaters. You can have, get a deep dish. They're very deep, so that when they scratch, it doesn't come out. So they are messy eaters, but they love to bathe. They get messy, gets on their tail, gets in their face, gets in their feet, but they love to bath. You have to provide them with bathing opportunities. She loves to bathe. She bathes like maybe 4 or 5 times a day. She bathes all the time. As soon as she sees water, she's in it. They'll bathe in their water dish as well, if it's big enough they can fit in there, or just stick their head in there. They'll bathe in there, but now make sure you give them lots of bathing opportunities, and they'll stay squeaky clean. And they're not very destructive like to your furniture, but they can chew like your papers, books, magazines, etc. Any paper stuff, because they do love shredding toys. They love the paper toys in soft wood. They can't really chew hardwood. They don't really play with like any plastic toys or metal toys. They can't really do much with those, but just kind of bang them around. But for toys, make sure you get them a lot of shredding toys that they can actually chew. They will use their feet. They will use their beak. Kakarikis are compared to like a kaik, if you know what they are, or a lorikeet, where they like to play. Sometimes they roll on their back. They're just constantly non-stop. So if you like to watch a bird run around, jump and hop and never really sit still, then a kakariki you might enjoy. They're not sedentary birds like compared to like say a Senegal, where they barely move around. They just kind of sit around. They're always on the go. So for their cage, the bigger the better, of course. The bar spacing should be about 1/2 inch. No bigger, as they can squeeze their little heads through there, and you wouldn't want that. And yeah, so the bigger the better. They are escape artists, so you got to make sure that the doors can latch pretty hard, and you don't have those doors, the guillotine doors where they lift up and they'll get out of them. You got to tie them down. But the bigger the better. The nice flight cages are nice for them. If you can't let your bird out very often, the bigger the better, like a double flight cage. My birds are basically out all day. The room is their cage, and she just goes in there to eat and sleep and go in there when I need them to be in the cage. So she's out all of the time. Her cage is the minimum size I would recommend. If you do let your bird out all day or most of the day, or at least like a couple hours for flying and playing, would be 24 inches like wide and 21 inches deep. That's her cage. It is the preview cage. I can put the link down below if you're interested. And she can fit toys in there and perches in all her food, and then she comes out. It's got a big open door, and it's I find it's perfect for her, as she's out most of the time from her cage. She has a lot of paper toys. Different perches, you want to get different size perches, so for their feet extra size, so when they jump perch to perch, they're not all the same size. So lots of bathing opportunities and perches and toys, and a lot of flying and playing areas. Then your bird will be happy. So for their diet, what I feed mine is I feed her similar to a cockatiel's diet. She will get a cockatiel mix along with fresh vegetables like my chop and some fruits. I find that kakarikis love fruits more than any of my other birds. They're very high energy birds, so they can eat the fruit, which they can wear off when they're hopping around and flying around. So it's best if you feed a lot of fruit to let them out, to wear off all that energy. She does love fruit, and for what I read, that a lot of kakarikis love fruit. Her favorite fruit is pomegranate and apples. She loves those a lot. And then she gets a small piece of spray millet, like just a piece at the end of the day, just to entice her to go back in her cage. And actually pellets too. She does have pellets. I offer her different types of pellets, as I got several birds that likes different ones. But you want to find the best pellet and the best quality pellet to feed your birds. She basically eats anything. She's a really good eater. So yeah, she gets a little bit of everything. And Kakarikis, they hold their food in their feet, which is so cute. I found that adorable when they hold the food in their foot and they eat it. Budgies don't do that. Cockatiels don't really do that, but most parrots do. And it's such an adorable thing to watch. So how are they with other birds? Well, I find she gets along with all of my birds, most of my birds. If you watch my videos, I have a lot of birds. I don't mix her with my larger birds, of course, like my mustache parakeet or my Senegal, as they got huge beaks and they can really harm her. So they're good with other small birds her size. She's fine with my budgies and my borks and my cockatiels. All my other birds that I have, she hasn't caused any issues yet, but I don't breed or have any breeding, boxes up or anything. If you are planning to breed some Kakarikis, you want to keep them separate for other birds, as during breeding time, they can get aggressive and fight with other birds, other species, and anyone's. It's best if ever breeding, just keep them separate from other birds. During the spring, I'm going to have to watch, because she's only a baby now. But when she gets hormonal, even in spring, I do have problems sometimes in my bird room. So I really have to watch and, keep everybody separate, let them out different times if there's any issues. But during the off-breeding season, she's out with all my birds and she's been fine. And my other Kakariki used to be fine as well. So they're a great bird to add to your flock. Maybe don't add them to, with aggressive birds like, parrots, lovebirds. I do have one lovebird, but he's kind of special. He's not aggressive with other birds, but some are. So just use your own judgment and research which birds are good to mix with the Kakarikis. Click on this video here if you want to see other species spotlights videos. I have many species that I speak about, and you can see which species is good for you. So I will see you in the next video.